morning to all of you who could not be part of the first panel session. Now we move on to the next proceeding of the day, the panel number 2, on a very interesting and one of the most significant topics in the whole scheme of things for the 2-day India Food Nutrition Summit, on the topics of prebiotics and probiotics towards a healthy lifestyle. Before I introduce and invite on stage the honorable panel members, I would like to give you a brief about the discussions on this session. Microorganisms in dietary supplements, growth and physiology, probiotic food product classes, types and processing, future trends and perspectives on probiotic nutrition, probiotics in health and disease, regulatory framework and policies for probiotic nutrition, and probiotics and prebiotics in your diet. And now, with a big round of applause along with me, please help me welcome all the honorable panel members in the order of sequence. I would like to first invite on stage Mr. Sanjay Pandey, General Manager from Banas Dairy District Cooperative. Mr. Pandey, welcome to the panel and welcome to India Food Nutrition Summit. Joining Mr. Pandey, we have Mr. Shyamal Kumar Roy, Head of Quality from Creamline. Mr. Roy, welcome to the India Food Nutrition Summit. Joining them, we have Ankita Marwaha, Associate Director, Nutrition Science, PepsiCo. Ankita ji, welcome to India Food Nutrition Summit. Joining them, we have Dr. Neerja Hajela, Head Science and Regulatory Affairs, Yakult, Danone, India. Neerja ji, again, welcome to the panel. Always a pleasure having you, ma'am. Joining next, Mr. Satish Reddy, Head Quality, Dodla Dairy Limited. Satish ji, welcome to the India Food Nutrition Summit. And I would now like to call on stage with a big round of applause the honorable moderator for the panel, Dr. Nandan Arun Joshi, Head Medical Affairs, Nutrition, India, EM, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Dr. Joshi, welcome to the panel 2 again. Dr. Joshi, all over to you, Captain of the ship and panel moderator, and I'm looking forward towards a fantastic session from all of you.
Sure. So, and also giving me the opportunity to lead this discussion with a wonderful panelist. Thank you, audience. I think it's a great audience because typically, we see that not such a great audience in a nutrition conference. So, both in terms of number and some interesting questions. So, looking forward to this interesting discussion, and do park your questions for the end and do ask them to our panelists. So, the topic of today's discussion is on prebiotic and probiotics. So, I think in the times to come, you'll also hear about the definition and everything. But a lot of time, I think it's been almost 10 years or so since we are hearing about these terms. But many times people say that these terms sound artificial. They look like some kind of a chemical, prebiotic, probiotic, and not easily relatable to the food. So something alien to what we have been eating for centuries. Of course, except when we heard about curd and yogurt and the role of probiotic in it. But I just want to give a context that the first food that all of us had, which is our mother's milk. The mother's milk has both prebiotic and probiotic. In fact, mother's milk has almost 7 different species of probiotics, starting from Staphylococcus, and the most abundant is the Lactobacillus and Bifidobacteria. So mother's milk is abundant, and it's still being discovered because mother's milk is not, the innovation is not yet complete. And the other thing that they found out about 40 years back is that mother's milk also has prebiotic, which is now called as human milk oligosaccharides, or HMOs. So these HMOs, both prebiotic, probiotic, are very important for shaping our digestive health right from the beginning. And then eventually, we have seen so many innovations which have happened over a period of time, and many different disease indications in which both prebiotics and probiotics have been used. If you look at Indian context, they say that somewhere the market is around 220 crores last year, and expect it's growing at the rate of 20% CAGR. So I think really expanding at a pace that is, I think, and we'll see more and more innovations happening in this space. So what we will do today with the panelists is we have people from nutrition background, we have marketeers, we have quality people. So let's try to touch upon each of these areas. So I'll start with Mr. Satish first. What is the role of a probiotic in a in healthy lifestyle as well as in disease management. So if you can elaborate your point of view, I think that will be great.
Thank you for question. First of all, I would like to thank for organizer and good morning to everybody. See, as human intestine microbiota is being has been increased the research recently. We are being understand what is the role of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa in gut, in disease and health. So a change in the type of microbiota has shown it associated with gastrointestinal diseases. So if any disturbance of disturbance of gut microbiota can result pathogenical conditions such as malnutrition, obesity, systematic disease like diabetes, inflammatory bowel diseases, and infection. So there is now increasingly increasing the evidence that the food we take is influenced in part by gut microbes. So that's why now I'm going to speak about probiotics, how it will help in our gut and in diseases. Probiotics are friendly bacteria. It can colonize even our small intestine, large intestine in presence of bile salts, and it can grow, compete with bad bacteria and develop in our digestive system. Different types of probiotics have different functions, means different functions. Health benefits mainly depend on the type of probiotic strain. So now recent new studies shown that our gut microbiome can change very fast in human gut within 2 or 3 days by shifting with what we eat. So generally probiotics can deteriorate for several factors such as incorrect diet, consumption of alcohol, and age factors. So they should be taken orally through in our regular diet. So several these probiotics have ability to ferment our foods to simpler form, and that promotes our digestive system by different mechanisms, like binding of adhesive of pathogenic bacteria in intestinal epithelium by production of inhibitory substances, suppression of growth of pathogenic bacteria by binding gram-negative bacteria. So maintenance of the normal level of short-chain fatty acids and improve the immune response and regulate the lipid metabolism, like that. So a lot of several health benefits are there. At the same time, the application of probiotics are proven and in preventive and treatment of health conditions and diseases like lactose intolerance and gastrointestinal disorders and irritable bowel diseases, and reduce the cancer. For example, colon cancer is reduced by lactic acid bacteria. This lactic acid bacteria able to bind heterocyclic amines, which is a carcinogenic agents formed during cooked meat. And same, it will improve the immune response and reduce the inflammation by increasing the number of immunoglobulin A producing plasma cells and increasing the phagocytosis as well, increasing the proportion of T lymphocytes and naturally killed cells. So in probiotics are treating several diabetic diarrhea disorders. For the last fast, widely using Saccharomyces cerevisiae or Derobi. So these are the evidences. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting those aspects. I think very, very rightly said. And I think the application in health and disease is endless. I just want to add to what he's mentioned, very wonderful point, that it is, the entire bacterial colony in the gut can be manipulated through diet and intervention. And there are a lot of studies which are being done on this aspect. I just want to give example, coming back to our, early life is, there's a research has shown that the babies who are born vaginally, they have a very healthy gut microflora than babies who are born by cesarean section. Why? Because a baby passes through vaginal canal, so they take bacteria from the vaginal canal. And when baby comes out of C-section, they take the bacteria from the hospital because they are sitting on the mother's skin first. So this is something very, very wonderful. And you will see the immediate colonization pattern changing within the babies. And same goes for a breast milk versus formula fed. So there are a lot of research, but thank you so much for highlighting those points. Now moving from probiotic to prebiotic, I would like to go to Ms. Ankita. So can you please elaborate what is the role of prebiotic in healthy lifestyle?
So first of all, thank you for the question. And Doctor, it's wonderful to have you as the captain of the ship. And thanks to Synnex for organizing this very, very important discussion. And happy to be here. So we are what we eat is said so often. And it is true for the microorganisms as well. They are what they eat. So all the benefits which Doctor spoke about is coming from the microorganisms, but who is feeding these microorganisms is nothing but the prebiotic. Probiotic as a term is still very widely understood, but prebiotic isn't. So simply put, prebiotic is nothing but the food for the probiotic, and hence whatever benefits we are getting from probiotic would naturally come from the prebiotic as well. Now, just to highlight, we had done a research on oat fiber, and there was one arm which was given this prebiotic fiber and the other arm wasn't. What we found is that the short chain fatty acid production was higher in the arm which was getting prebiotic, and hence it in turn improved both the immune health as well as there was a reduction in cholesterol levels, and the inflammatory biomarkers had also gone down. So we don't realize how by simple diet change and supporting by giving the right food to the microorganism, we are encouraging the growth of these positive bacteria. We are not only encouraging the growth of probiotics, but we are also decreasing the chances of increasing the production of, or increasing our body, making it more susceptible to the pathogen attack. So these are the few important aspects, and while we are a lot focused on probiotic, but wherever there is a combination of pre and probiotic, which is the symbiotic, studies have shown that the benefits are much larger. Moving on to the benefits, if I look at, starting from, of course, the healthy gut, the benefits are also moving to weight management, because these overall, when your gut is healthy, we know that it is supporting all the other metabolisms as well. So ignoring and just focusing on one aspect of the diet might give us some benefits, but if we look at holistically and include both pre and probiotics in our diet, then the impact could be much more, starting from again the benefits of the immune health, but also there is mineral absorption. There are studies which have shown that there is further glucose management is also there, because these fibers are mostly in the soluble fiber domain, unlike the other fibers where it's both insoluble and soluble. These are primarily the soluble fibers. So we also see delayed gastric emptying and many more benefits like that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for elaborating that and mentioning also about symbiotic. I think this is another emerging area where you're not only giving the live bacteria, but give their food along with it together. And I think that works even better than just giving alone a prebiotic or a probiotic. And that has also been studied quite a bit. So definitely, I think symbiotic is also a very futuristic. We are already seeing some applications, but I think the times to come, we'll see more symbiotics coming in this arena. Now, moving from science and application in disease, how can we take this science and apply in innovation? So I'll go to Mr. Shyamal for the next question. Is how these probiotics are being applied in innovation, and what are some interesting innovations, products that are being launched or will be launched very soon? Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. So, beginning, doctor told that many times we presume that this prebiotic or probiotic, whether they are chemical or not. So now we understand probiotics are the microorganisms. It could be bacteria, fungi, similar kind of bacteria which give the health benefits when they are consumed in a certain numbers, and they develop certain health benefits by growing in our guts. So this probiotic is not a new concept. Even more than 100 years back, people first identified the probiotic bacteria as Lactobacillus bulgaricus. If you see at our history, we know that there are many products like acidophilus milk, kefir, kumis. Those are very old products traditionally used in several countries. So it's not the new to us. Yes, in India, our concept, nutritional concept and all requirements are increasing, and so basically what are the things that we are little aware about these are the health benefits diets actually. Nowadays, these probiotics are used as a food supplement, or as like functional foods also. Mostly we know the fermented dairy products like dahi, yogurt, then yogurt drinks, similar kind of products we see in the market with the probiotic foods. But not only in dairy, if we see around the world, there are a lot of products available with the probiotic functionality. So even nowadays, the probiotics functionality means those kind of bacteria are incorporated in the different products, like even the fruit juices, fruit or vegetable juices, even the plant growth, then the meat industry. So many industries they have started, and it's available around the world also. See, the technology has rapidly improving. Due to improved technology, now we can use this, because these kind of bacteria, the major issue is that how we can use in our product, because they are like bacteria cannot survive at the higher temperature, or they can't at the different processing stage also their viability of the bacteria can reduce, because this probiotic activity or their functionality will be applicable when they are available in a sufficient number in our body. Then it will give you the specific functionality or health benefits. If it is below that number, there is no use of this probiotic bacteria. So improving technology, like in industry we know that when we produce curd, yogurt or similar kind of product, we may use direct fermentation process. Now technology has changed. So instead of sometime what happen, if we use directly this bacteria for the fermentation process, due to so many factors, their number may get deteriorate. So that is the reason nowadays direct fluid injection system, that technology has arrived. And to protect this kind of bacteria, now we can see that say like to protect this bacteria, encapsulation technology. So where you can protect your bacteria in the process, they can be stored, they can be protected during storage system also, and they'll be benefited when we consume. We see there are a lot of products, even you know the Yakult is one of the probiotic product. There are a lot of probiotic dairy, dahi, yogurts available in India by AMUL and some Epigenia. Then nowadays this probiotic functionality used for the chocolate also. AMUL has launched a probiotic chocolate. Now it is used in cheese manufacturing also. So there are a lot of applications are coming not only in dairy. After dairy, you have application for even the fruit industry, food and vegetable, meat industry. These are the things available now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting the different aspects of where it is applied. I think you already mentioned about dairy and you talked about it, but we also have Mr. Pandey from dairy industry. So I'd like to further elaborate on the same point that he mentioned in terms of what are those bacteria which are harnessed in the dairy industry and what are those applications that you have seen been working? Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I would keep myself to food and especially dairy because when we are talking this subject in the context of food, we have to exclusively mention that food is not meant for the medical purpose. So that is a basic line from regulatory perspective also. And then when we talk about the food, and in particular I will talk about dairy, though I have worked on similar categories. Dairy is one such ingredient which is used for making diverse range of foods. So you talk about biscuits, you talk about cakes, whether it is fun or whatsoever, any category of food, dairy is applied there. And what are the diverse, rather popular dairy products? Let me start the introduction in that way. One category, we generally call it chilled dairy or fresh dairy kind of products, where there is no such categorization. I am just taking the liberty to define the dairy products based on their solid contents. So see, for example, these fresh dairy products, mostly they are below 15%. We can extend up to 20% also, like Greek yogurts and all. You can have extra solids into that. So one category is like our market milk. We call it market milk in the terminology of dairy technologists or dairy technology, which is pasteurized. You can homogenize it or you may not homogenize it. Mostly available in, it is low shelf life product. Like in Indian condition, it is about 2-3 days. But in other conditions where the cold chain is very strong, you can go up to 14 days also. 7 days is very common. And when you ferment the same product with use of diverse kind of bacterial cultures, then you can extend the shelf life easily under our condition also, provided it is refrigerated. Milk is very perishable, we all know it. So if we do not handle it, we manhandle it in some way, little bit of mishandling, 4 hours are also enough to spoil the product. And every degree and every hour is still I would say, a kind of larger magnitude, like every minute counts. Because milk, quality of milk is not going to be the same every minute. And this is true for every food product. It is constantly deteriorating. And so this is one category where we are talking about the fresh dairy. If we move from this milk solid brackets to another category, which is say, I would take 20 to say 45, something like that. So cream, ice cream, this range of product. I'm giving these examples because the processing and treatment of the probiotic will change because as we are decreasing the moisture content, we have to apply some kind of evaporations. We have to take out moisture from the product. And then some kind of heat treatment, some kind of drying process. Nowadays, it is possible to freeze dry products also. Most of the bacterial cultures or probiotic cultures we are having in the marketplace, they are freeze dried cultures. There are versions like you can directly add into the vat. So they call it direct vat set cultures or direct vat inoculation cultures. You can directly add it. You can freeze dry it. And then depending on that, whether you are keeping at -18 or what kind of temperature, the shelf life of these probiotic cultures as such can range from 1 to 2 years, depending on refrigeration, deep freezing. So the point I wanted to drive is that probiotics are very popular in the fresh dairy category because these are live microorganisms. And when you are keeping it live, you have already taken all precautions. Your HACCP, quality control, everything is guaranteed during the pasteurization and making the food safe. And on top of that, if your processes are controlled, you can add the probiotic cultures. So you can consume them live, because if you're calling it probiotic, it has to be a live system. And then regulations have already made it very clear that there is certain number of count, like they define it 10 to the power 8 CFU per serve. It is not per ml, it is per serve. And if your serve size is bigger, you can go lower than that quantity also. But suppose you have to ensure this count throughout the life of the product, then you have to target a certain number which is higher than this count. This is the bare minimum you have to maintain, 10 to the power 8. So probably if your product is made for 4 weeks, say for example, and it is quite possible that there will be a 1 log reduction during these periods, so you have to target a basic, initially you may have to target 10 to the power 9 or something like that, in order to keep that viable bacterial count at the end of the shelf life of the product. And like Mr. Shyamal mentioned, we have categories where we have applied it into the ice cream also. We have Chocobar, which is combination of prebiotic and probiotic, like we are using FOS there, which is being used as a prebiotic, and on top of that we have probiotic microorganism also. Cheeses, very much possible, but cheese is categorized based on the processes. If you are doing cheddaring, they call it cheddar. If you are stretching the protein part of that and you are making it little bit, you are working on that, and the stretch is possible like mozzarella and all. So depending on the processes, but you can definitely use, because this is another kind of product. Yes, at the last I would like to touch the powders which is less than 5% moisture. Indian sweets and all, we can do it because there also we have enough moisture and we can have it live. But the only thing is that process control has to be such that all the food safety aspects are taken care of before addition of these cultures, because there cannot be any more heat treatment post that. So you have to keep them live. So when this category, probiotic, more than probiotic, prebiotic is trialed or tested into powder products like baby food, infant formula and all, because if you are going for a spray drying and all, then you need a certain degree of temperature of high heating to make the product bacteria free also. Pathogens also can come. But in order to have them live, you cannot do any more heat treatment also. So if you are adding these products into the powder form, then they have to be freeze dried. And then your process control should be superb, that no contamination is coming thereafter. And you touched about what kind of bacteria, like FSI has given in their Schedule 7. If you see the category of the bacteria, one category they are talking about Lactobacillus. Under that they have Acidophilus, they have Kizii, they have Rhamnosus, they have Fermentus. Fermentus is exploited in baby food also, infant formula also. Then they have this Bifidobacterium, under this Lactis, then Bifidum. They have mentioned Streptococcus thermophilus also, but this is very common, being used in yogurt and dahi, both. Not both, mostly in yogurts because it is thermophilic kind of. And then yeast is not so much exploited in dairy products. So these are the kind of bacteria.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
on top of that, new bacteria are coming because they can produce low-chain fatty acids and they can be easily metabolized into our bloodstream. So just in the interest of time, I am cutting. You are giving
Absolutely,
indications
absolutely. No, thank you for highlighting various aspects and also the quality challenges that you just mentioned. And you diverge into the regulatory framework also. So we have Neerja here, so I'll go to you directly as a natural sequence of questions. So how do you think the current regulatory framework around pre and probiotic supports the innovation, or anything needs to be done to make it better?
Thank you, Dr. Nandan, and I think it's a perfect flow. So going from Mr. Pandey's discussion, the regulatory framework for probiotics in India particularly have been evolving since the last 10 years. That is when there was an influx of probiotic foods in the Indian market. Now, at that time, there was no systematic evaluation of the probiotic food. And that is when the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Department of Biotechnology, they took on the mandate of bringing out guidelines for probiotics, both the strain and the product. Now here I want to just point out that probiotic benefits are strain specific. So every product that is there in the Indian market today has a different strain of bacteria giving you a different health benefit. So in the ICMR DBT guidelines, they clearly laid out the criteria or the requirements to identify the strain, to do in vitro studies for probiotic characteristics. Now again, probiotics are bacteria which have to reach your intestine alive. So most bacteria are killed in the stomach, but these are bacteria which have to reach the intestine alive, grow there for a short period of time and give you the health benefit. So they have in vitro tests to study the probiotic characteristics. Then animal studies for the safety of the probiotic. Like Mr. Pandey said, we're taking 10 to the power 8 live bacteria. So the safety is very, very important. And then animal as well as human studies for the efficacy of that particular probiotic bacteria or the health benefits of that particular probiotic bacteria. But like we all know, guidelines are not mandatory. Then in 2016, the Food Safety Standards Authority of India brought out the Nutra regulations in which probiotic was a category and so was prebiotics. So according to these regulations, for any product to classify as a probiotic, it was important to have 10 to the power 8 CFU, which is cell-forming unit or live bacteria per gram or per ml of the product. They also, in their Schedule 7, gave a list of 28 different probiotic species which could be used in probiotic foods, and also the additives in the probiotic products were listed in Schedule 5A to 5F. This was what was mandatory. For prebiotics also, they had regulations and they listed 13 prebiotic products which could be used as prebiotics in Schedule 8 and also the additives from 5A to 5F. Now, what was very important in these regulations was the probiotic label. So clearly they stated that when you have a probiotic product in the market, you must mention the word probiotic food or prebiotic food. Then, like I said, the complete name of the bacteria. So the genus, the species, and the strain. Very often we see products which just mention the genus, which has no meaning at all because it is the strain of bacteria which is giving you the health benefit. Then the third important point was the viable count or the number of live bacteria, not at the time of manufacturing, but till the end of shelf life. So if you have, say, 10 billion bacteria in a product at the time of manufacture, it's important that it remains 10 billion even at the end of shelf life and your scientifically proven health benefits and not for medicinal use. So this was for probiotics and prebiotics, both of them. Then on 6th of September 21, there was the first amendment to the Nutra regulations where they introduced two more species of bacteria, and the list of probiotic species went up to 30. Now here they changed the regulation and they said that the amount of live organisms should be 10 to the power 8 CFU per recommended serving size per day. So if a product is 200 ml and you have 10 to the power 8 bacteria and that is your serve, that gives you the probiotic benefit. And also they changed the taxonomy of the Lactobacillus, which I'll come to later. And here they also mentioned that the concentration or the amount of prebiotic that can be added had to be 40 grams per day for that particular fiber to be called as a prebiotic. Then on 29th of March, you had the next regulation, which basically was to be implemented from 1st of April. And here they have got 31 species of probiotic bacteria, 16 different prebiotic products, and they have used the new taxonomy of Lactobacillus here. So here clearly they have stated that a product has to contain 10 to the power 8 CFU per recommended serving size per day, and those 16 prebiotics are also listed, and they have used the new taxonomy of Lactobacillus. So as of today, we stand at that point where whenever it is a product, it has to mention the word probiotic food, the complete name of bacteria, the live number till end of shelf life, and the scientifically proven health benefits.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Since we are in the phase of terminologies and definitions, I think I'll ask next question to Ms. Ankita. Is a lot of time fiber and prebiotic, these terms are used interchangeably. So are all fibers prebiotic, or what needs a fiber to be a prebiotic? Can you quickly define it?
Yeah, sure. So all prebiotics are definitely fiber, but not all fiber are prebiotic. Now the key difference is that the prebiotic, as we all have been speaking about, they support the growth of positive bacteria, but not all fibers would do that. The fiber can have laxative effect, they can have multiple other effects, but the prebiotic definitely has to support the growth of positive bacteria and hence impart a health benefit. So this is the primary difference between the two, and also the recommended daily allowance for fiber is well established. 30 grams is something, 28 to 30 grams is something which one needs to consume daily, but we don't have any recommendations in India on how much prebiotic, and across the globe also it's very challenging to find the exact recommendation, but 3 to 5 grams is where people have seen promising results, and that is something which comes from our daily consumption of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and what we have every day, even onions and garlics, although in small amounts, but if we have a whole balanced diet, we would be getting all these prebiotics.
Thank you so much. Now we have two people from quality here. So a quick question to both of you, and I would request you to keep the answer short because of the time. So what are the quality related challenges you face when it comes to both pre and probiotic, but you can feel free to answer whichever you want to. Some of it is already like we heard about the encapsulation for the better shelf life or better action efficacy. So what are one or two challenges and how do you address them? I think it will be great.
Probiotic cultures are increasing, being added in foods in order to develop products with the health properties. But still, there is a lot of challenges in the industry while adding probiotic cultures to the foods. Mainly, 7 issues are there. It should be addressed during development of functional foods. Most of the issues are covered by Madam. Just each probiotic strain is health benefit is specific. So when you are choosing any probiotic strain, what health benefits we are getting from that strain must know. And second is taxonomy, how it will impact in the taxonomy of the lactic acid bacteria in that food, and how process affect on the viability of this bacteria. So how can withstand the process? So for that, sir already told using micro encapsulation. And third is how stability during the storage, how it can withstand the live count, entire the shelf life of the product. And even some probiotics have effect on the sensory of the foods. So how we can address these are the issues is very important.
Thank you so much. Anything further you want to add?
Yeah.
Shyamal?
So, when we are talking about the probiotic products, say like we require 10 to the power 8 CFU for the per serving. So, number of bacteria, viable bacteria is very much important for any product, this kind of product. See, for fermented dairy products, the process are almost, it is established. Now you will get the whatever desired counts and all everything. But when you are looking for the different types of product coming around the world, say for even for the fruits, juices, fruits and vegetable and other non-dairy products. So viability is the major concern. So there are a lot of factors like your ingredients environment in the product, then the temperature of the product, storage temperature, processing. There could be the different processing, mechanical processes will be there, which can also deteriorate the viable count of the bacteria. Then your organic compounds produced during the storage or during the fermentation process. Some hydrogen peroxide may produce by the others bacteria. All these are very critical to survive the probiotic bacteria. So sometimes what happens, sir, if I want 10 to the power 8 bacteria in my serving, we may thought that will increase the initial number of probiotic bacteria. But what happen, due to increase of initial bacteria, that may impact on your product quality also, taste also. So that is also not properly applicable for all varieties of product. So in that case, that is the reason now the technologies are coming, like I told about the direct liquid injection process, where you can get the direct, how many, say like, how many bacteria you want exactly in the final product that can be injected at the final stage of production. Say like Tetra Pak coming with the fortification kind of technology in the, say like your Tetra Pak packaging line. That technology also come out. Now the encapsulation, that is another solution. Now new thing is coming like that, say like vacuum impregnation method is also there, where that it can be, that kind of bacteria can be used for the dried products like fruits and vegetables. And that process already established that probiotic bacteria can survive up to 2 months period. So looking on the challenges, process challenges, so technologies are coming. Let's see what kind of further development will be there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll come back to Neerja for her earlier point on the new taxonomy for Lactobacillus. So can you quickly elaborate what has changed?
I'll keep it very short.
Yeah.
So basically, there are 261 species in Lactobacillus, and Lactobacillus is the most, often used probiotic. So what happened was they were very diverse in ecology, in phenotypic characteristics as well as in their genotype. So scientists got together and they wanted to classify based on these criteria, and they have narrowed it down to 25 Lactobacillus now. So while we had 261 lactobacilli, now we have only 25 lactobacillus. And in the Lactobacillus genus, as the name stands, you have 38 species. So this is the new taxonomy, and it has also been published in the International Journal of Systemic and Evolutionary Biology. And FSSAI has now adopted this new taxonomy, but there is no change in the characteristics of that particular probiotic bacteria. It is just that it has been categorized differently. So on 13th of January 2022, FSSAI did bring out a guideline saying that, an order in fact, saying that companies can use the old or the new name of the bacteria till another order is notified. So as of now, in the regulation which was notified on 29th of March, you have the new taxonomy. You have 31 different species, but with the new taxonomy. So if you read that, that is in Schedule 4, where you have prebiotics as well as probiotics. So it is the new taxonomy. But we have time to make that change.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for also highlighting the implication. That's glad to know that there is enough time to make those changes. Yeah. I'll go to Mr. Pandey for one quick question. So how do you see the future trend? What are the future trends emerging in it when it comes to pre and probiotics? If you can answer shortly, yeah.
Yes, I am a little bit tempted to answer the first part also, the challenges piece which you talked about. See, when we take this question, prebiotic addition in food is pretty easy because that is a kind of non-viable system. Probiotic is a different case. Your product is a live product, and then you have to ensure certain number of counts throughout. So that aspect, and I was kind of answering this when I told that there are different moisture, temperature profiles. That is exactly the challenge, that we are not able to apply these probiotics across all these categories. So that will be a future. I am just trying to relate to this question as well. And this is already happening. For example, there are brands in baby food nutrition also, infant formula also, they are claiming that there are probiotic products and strains which are extensively being used for this kind of purpose. Otherwise, powdered products, mostly prebiotics were used. But now, because of freeze drying and all these possibilities where we can add in the dry, like we have dry ingredients, dry format of most of the micronutrients, they are added in the dry form in these kind of categories because they are either heat sensitive but now it is possible to produce these products in a very safe environment and they can be very safely added. So probiotics as well can be added very safely. I am also hearing that probiotics, there are technologies to encapsulate them, so adverse conditions they can survive. So is there any environment change for their survival, heat treatment or so? They can be encapsulated and so another way is that some of these probiotics are spore formers also. So they are identifying those strains and they can be added into your, like some mild heat treatment or thermization can be given and they convert into the vegetative cells. And that is how we can consume. So these are some of the
Absolutely,
things.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think we missed out one part of this entire conversation is consumer, right? So this is a rapid fire question for all of you. And we want a very quick answer in one line. So what one or two things we should do to increase the consumer trust and confidence in pre and probiotic products related to health benefit claims, etc. So maybe who wants to, you can start very quickly.
Consumer must know what type of health benefit he is getting by consuming that product. The label declaration should be very clear.
Label declaration, great, yeah.
Same, I think consumer awareness, education is very, very important. Most often consumers tend to, kind of think that traditional fermented foods are probiotics. So what is the need for a probiotic, So I think that understanding and education is very, very important.
So there is a lot of trust in these kind of products, and I think consumers go for these products, but maintaining that integrity and efficacy of these products over time and shelf life stability so that they see that those benefits is critical, I think.
I think consumer awareness in any form, like media or anything, that is the most important aspect. Just before this session, we are discussing about one is the regulation. Regulation should be clear what is the probiotic and prebiotic requirements. And second thing is that consumer education. They are not aware of what is prebiotic and probiotic. Sometimes what is happening, some manufacturer, they claim as the prebiotic, probiotic, but there is no ingredient present in the product if you see the ingredient list also. So those kind of aspects are mostly required.
So like we say that prevention is better than cure, and we are not talking about the cure, we are talking about the prevention. And one good benefit this prebiotic or probiotic they are going to give us is, one is the healthy or digestive system, and we say that if our stomach system is well, our health is good. And that is where the probiotics play the best role. Another part is the immunity, if you want to stay healthy, and there also the role of consumers. Our consumers need to know about this. They already know. When the need of our arises like corona and all, we all look for these options.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we have completed the discussion. So I think we touched upon the health benefits. We heard about the definition of pre-probiotic terminologies, new taxonomy, the regulatory framework, which I think we feel right now is adequate at the stage where we are and also will evolve with the time. We heard about the qualitative challenges related to using probiotic and what needs to be done to adopt it across the food metrics. I think overall, I think this is a growing category, and not just pre and probiotic. We heard about symbiotic, and also there is a new term which is now called as postbiotic, which is basically what these probiotic do is they ferment the prebiotic and produce short chain fatty acid and other constituents. So why not give that constituent directly instead of giving pre and probiotic? That is called as postbiotic basically. That is also now emerging as a next science, and I think we will see more and more innovations in the time to come. So wonderful discussion. Now what we can do is maybe take one or two questions for the panelists. So,
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Joshi. I think in the interest of time, we will like to take only one question from the audience. So anybody have a question, please raise your hand and you will get the mic, and then please do introduce yourself and the question to which panel member it is addressed to. Other questions, I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot of questions. You can always take it offline with the panel members. They're there for the day. You can take the questions with them. But with the interest of time, we'll just take one question. So anybody having a question? Yeah, ma'am. Wait for the mic, ma'am. Please introduce yourself, ma'am, and your organization, and question to which panel member?
Yeah, myself Aparna Tandon, and I'm from Signutra and part of new product development. I wanted to check from Ankita ma'am, like you were discussing about prebiotic, and as you rightly said, all dietary fibers are not prebiotic, but I guess all these soluble fibers are prebiotic because they exhibit prebiotic kind of properties. Now, as very rightly said, that consumers are not aware and people are making prebiotic claims. So is there anything which you see can come up by FSSAI? Previously in the draft, 3 gram prebiotic was given per 100 gram, that you can call it as a source of prebiotic. But now recently we have got new regulations, but there we have not seen anything on prebiotic. So at what quantity can somebody call that, yes, we have prebiotic? Even a 1 gram person can call that we have prebiotic, a 3 gram or a 11 gram or a 10 gram. So this is a very wide range. So as per your opinion, what should we do?
So definitely, I think we all were looking forward to that FSSAI recommendation. But so how I would see it approaching is that there is a clause which is about if you show the functional performance of the product, and it is not that all soluble fibers may have prebiotic effect. So that efficacy has to be proven, and you have to show it in a clinical trial that it is supporting the growth of positive bacteria and in turn leading to, a benefit. So as long as we have that documentation and we submit to FSSAI, we can get approval. So that approval process does exist today as well. And it's, we all look for that simple claim where you can just pick up the nutrient, add the exact amount, but unfortunately, most of the regulations don't have that direct recommendation. So that's a challenge, definitely.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, honorable panel members. I think they deserve a big round of applause. Thank you so much for this wonderful panel session. But before I bid adieu to this wonderful panel, I would like to call on stage Mr. Anand Gulati, AVP from FICCI Research and Analysis Center, to kindly do the honors of felicitating this wonderful panel of experts which we have here today. Anand, welcome to the 3rd Annual India Food Nutrition Summit. Always a pleasure to have you again. We'll like a quick group photograph of the panel members with Anand. Congratulations once again to the entire panel, Mr. Sanjay Pandey, Mr. Shyamal Kumar Roy, Ankita ji, Dr. Neerja, Satish Reddy, and Dr. Joshi for wonderfully moderating the panel. Congratulations once again. Thank you all for giving such an amazing information on a very important topic on prebiotics and probiotics.